today with the ghost. Got put me a dip in, boy. Put me a dip in. Editor, put a stupid picture of me on the screen. There it is. I enjoy taking them to make me laugh. Maybe if you didn't take a selfie a day like some bitch on Facebook. I do take selfies like a dumb bitch on Facebook.
The one of you eating food on the couch haunts me.
My favorite one is the one of you like at the restaurant and you're like at the bottom end of the wide angle lens.
Dude, the 0.5
You look like a me or something.
You look so messed up. I look like a billboard, like a cutout. My neck looks so wide for some reason.
Like
You got a Downy neck. Okay, two different ways to take it. Down syndrome kids in the NFL, I think they get tackled.
They could.
Oh, they could fucking split Tom Brady in half. What are you talking about?
Imagine just sending like 6 of them straight at Tom Brady.
You would retire immediately.
If he got tackled in his lower half would just separate from the top half of his body.
Just tell them that Tom Brady is.
What's up, everyone? This is your host, Ghost, coming to you live with another wonderful video. How is everyone doing today? I'm doing well myself. Man, I'm tired though. I was up late last night. That's why I had to push the show back a little bit. The only reason, really. Very simple. Sorry. Let's see what else I got. Hold on, I got something I need to set up here. All right, hold on. Sorry. I'll do something here. There we go. All right. Sorry about that. That's something I need to take care of. All right. Anyways, yeah. I was up late last night. That's why I kind of had to push the show back when I woke up this morning. I was exhausted as fuck. Oh man, much better. So part 3 we're doing of this what was it? It was is trad wife life better? The nature of women, man, the culture war with Tim Pool, and all that. That's with Rachel Wilson, Pearly Things, Isabella Moody, and Laura Chen. So I'm doing part 3 of that. I think hopefully I'll be done with that today. I'll just go an hour today because I got other things I need to do. So I'm hoping we'll be done by today. I do got like an hour left, so who knows. Again, we'll be doing this at 1.5 speed, so just be on. Yeah. So if it sounds a little fast, that's why. Little housekeeping. Follow me on X at officialwghost. That's the best place to find out when I go live. You can also watch me live. Let's see. And then, of course, Rumble is with Ghost. YouTube is at with Ghost. And then twitch.tv/official with Ghost. And actually, real quick. And then my gaming channel for Rumble is Gaming with Ghost. And then YouTube is at official Gaming with Ghost. Now I just want to give a couple shout outs. Come on. I'm pretty sure someone else did. And new subscriber 3 days ago. DM, shout out to you for the for subscribing. And then just an hour ago, Virginia Lou, shout out to you for subscribing. Hope to see you guys in the chat at some point. Let's see. Yeah, that's all I got. So yeah, let's get into this. What the fuck is going on here? Okay. There we go. All right.
To everything, and you're never going to have a foolproof system.
Right. And if he has a stay-at-home wife, he's more of a target.
True.
And I talked to one of the guys that like calculates child support, and he said if you want to like have the minimal amount of risk, you need a chick that earns what you earn. It's not the ones you describe, but I'm saying, if we want traditional outcomes, we have to reward them, and right now we don't.
And that's what sucks, because
Yeah.
there's pros and cons to everything, and you're never going to have a foolproof system.
Right.
And actually, if you do look at child custody laws, and when it comes to parental rights, dads actually have more rights if they're married to the mother, because if they aren't, they have all these extra steps and hurdles they have to go through. They have to prove the paternity. They have to do all these
If you're
things.
married in fraternity.
So yeah,
Yes.
but I thought that too. And actually, because after I think Trent Horn said that during our debate, and so I asked like the guy that calculates child custody, and you can sign the birth certificate. I can't remember the exact name, but there's something guys can sign to get the same rights.
Okay, so,
So, yeah, so-
that's beneficial.
and-
But even if they're not married, they still have to pay child support, which I agree. Child
Yeah, and if
support's
they're
awful.
in California, for example, like you get after 20 years or something, you get on alimony. And the years that, from my research, divorces have popped up. It's 5 years, 13 years, 21, and 24.
Yeah, well, the divorce courts just screw men over.
She said 5 years. Hold on. I just want to read here.
I can't remember the exact name, but there's something guys can sign to get the same rights.
Okay, so
So,
that's
so-
that's
Birth
beneficial. But even if they're
certificate,
not married, they
probably?
still have to pay child support, which I agree. Child
Yeah, and if
support's
they're
awful.
in California, for example, like you get after 20 years or something, you get on alimony. And the years that, from my research, divorces have popped up. It's 5 years, 13 years, 21.
It's 5 years, 13 years, 21. All right, so I've been married 6 years, so I'm over that threshold. So, I should be good for another 7 years. Then I might have to worry for a little while.
And 24.
Yeah, well, the divorce
All right, so Earl says 5 years, 13 years, 20 years, 24 years. So I've passed the threshold for 5. I'm at 6. So I got 7 more years. And then I don't have to worry, 7 years of easy going, and then I got to worry.
courts just screw men over. I mean, it's awful. No wonder why marriage
It's
rates.
kidnapping. You
Yeah.
can legally kidnap a child. And I talk to men it's crazy. The worst ones are military. Military guys have
yeah.
it so bad.
And they have
this
pretty high
is-
divorce rates as well.
And to
just
think
because
about
of
how
the
many men
military.
have committed suicide in the last 50 years. Over 400,000 men have committed suicide. And from my research, roughly 70% have had contact with family court in the last 5 years. This is literally killing men and nobody cares. And they just say, men, man up and marry anyway. And I just think it's a poor solution. The courts have to change first.
And see, like, if we're going to be talking about, like, okay, what are issues or what are the solutions here? Because we've been talking a lot about issues. So, Pearl, do you think the focus should just be on changing the laws?
Yeah, I think that's got to happen first
Yeah.
because
No, absolutely. If you really want men to take this risk of marrying these hoes, you gotta change the laws first and foremost. You gotta, like I said, you should. It should really end up being more in the man's favor, just based off statistics alone. Single fathers do better than single mothers. Just solely based on statistics. So it should automatically go to the father, and then the mother can get that time to build up her own build up her own wealth and everything like that, so she has time to boom 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 get up to that point where she's able to do well for herself and start being able to pay her share of everything and stuff, and not relying solely on her ex-husband and shit. It should first go to full custody should go to the men first, and then that'll leave women free to pursue their career so they can increase their finances and they're not struggling, and because the man's already established, and then once women are up to the point where they can pay their share, then it should go down to 50-50. I think that's the perfect solution right there.
regardless of what I say, I'm just some random chick with opinions. I mean, I can't change the laws. I think regardless of what I say, young men are looking at the market and they're saying, okay, the young women my age, one, they don't want to date me. Two, they have incredibly high standards. The quality is lower than ever before. And if I want to get married, generally they're going to have to compromise on something. And then they're going to look at the risk that goes with it. And many men just aren't going to do it. I had one guy in California, or in Texas, $1.5 million he spent on his divorce. He sees his kid every other weekend. California, he spent $300,000 trying to get his kid back. His kid speaks another language. He hasn't seen him in 3 years. He doesn't even speak the same language as his kid. These are common, especially military, because military will go for like 8 months at a time. So many military men come back, their wife is gone, all their stuff is gone, and people will say, oh, just it's your fault because you picked the wrong woman. Oh, you didn't okay, he was gone for 8 months. And a lot of those men end up homeless.
So you think, would you agree with Jordan Peterson on enforced monogamy?
What is his opinion on it?
It was misconstrued for sure by the woke corporate press. They painted this picture of like fat incels, neckbeards
getting assigned women.
He meant socially it should be a cultural pressure that there's monogamy, that society doesn't look fondly on people who are promiscuous or polyamorous and things like that. So basically if people feared cancel, like imagine cancel culture. You got emails being like, you're a degenerate, how could you cheat on your wife or your husband? And people were like, no, I could not get a divorce, I'll lose my job, that kind of thing.
Well, I don't think that'll happen.
Well, I'm not saying I think it'll happen either. I'm just saying,
I think women.
Do you agree that society should be structured in a way?
Myron had a tweet recently that said that women that cheat on their military husbands when they're deployed should face jail time. I love that.
I don't think that's far-fetched.
No, and that's the thing. Like military men have it so bad.
You're
They
like
have it
literally compromising the national security by doing that.
Jail time.
yeah, jail time.
Maybe not jail
It's
time.
tough, 'cause
but
I don't
think
disagree.
it's-
Yeah,
Jail time, yeah.
Well,
because they're getting paid. When a man or woman joins the army, if they get married, you get base housing.
Yeah. So what happens though is they come back from the military, and what they'll do is the women will go to court and say, I've been raising the kid for 8 months. It's in the best interest of the child to stay with me.
Yeah.
Well, he's been serving our country for 8 months. How is that fair? And a lot of times women also, they can get restraining orders. So like me and you get into a fight, I get a restraining order, right? And then I can go to court and say, oh, he hasn't been with the kid in 3 months.
Andrew had a woman on his show last week this is her words. She said when she graduated high school and realized she was going to have to pay her own bills, she kind of freaked out and married her high school boyfriend because he was going into the military and was going to have this reliable income. But years dying, he's getting deployed all the time. He's always busy, and he didn't pay enough attention to her, so she divorced him.
Yeah. You go into and marry a military guy. She's like, you're not paying enough attention to me, bitch. You got your food. You got food. You got a roof over your head. You got your medical bills good. Like, shut the fuck up. Go get a hobby.
No,
No loyalty among women these days. What the fuck?
seriously, ask. I was just at and this is what you start to notice patterns. Ask any military guy if he knows someone that has a divorce horror story. They all do.
Yeah.
I went to.
Sorry, I was gonna say
Also, a portion of that too is a lot of these fucking dumbass young military guys, they end up like marrying strippers and shit. So that's a portion of it as well. Probably maybe not a large one, but a good amount at least.
like I myself, and I know a lot of other women who would flat out just not date anyone actively in the military because you have to assume they're going to get deployed. So if you're going into a relationship with someone and that like attention is important to you, what are you thinking?
So-
Like it's their job. They
Sorry,
have to.
adultery is illegal in the military.
Oh, good.
Oh.
I don't know if that
Yeah,
applies
but
for women or.
the issue is there's so many workarounds with this stuff. Like, the abuse.
I mean, yeah, it's illegal, but I think it generally will be facing the people actually in. But I'm not entirely sure how it is really, because it's so common. There's a term for it. Jody's gonna get your girl. Okay, it's so common. So I mean, although it's illegal, I think that's more for the male side than it is for, or not the male side, but the military personnel side than it is for the actual. Than anyone else. I think that's my opinion, at least.
They changed the definition of abuse to include emotion. That's why I say it's feminist language, because abuse used to be a man hitting a woman and then they expand. Like, that's what women do first, is they change the definition of words. So it used to be abuse. Now we have emotional abuse, financial abuse. And there's just so many loopholes, and it's so confusing that women can really use the system to steal children from men. And then that causes every problem in society: homelessness, school shooters, because women are raising men. And that's just not good for society.
Well, in Quebec, which is, I mean, probably the most socially liberal part of Canada, which is already socially liberal, they have done a lot of, it's one of those places where no one gets married, people cohabitate. It's so feminist in Quebec that you actually legally cannot take your husband's last name if you are in Quebec. Wow. You can change your name to whatever you want it, but if you're married and a wife, you cannot take your husband's last name. They won't let you.
Super bizarre.
There were too many divorces, and it kind of caused like a paperwork nightmare for the bureaucracy. So eventually they just said no one's changing their name anymore. There's a lot of divorces as well.
Okay, it's weird. But it's Quebec's, it's Canada. Who cares?
Well, and it's interesting because in
French
Quebec,
Canadian, I
it
can say
basically there's also common law marriage, which is something I don't think is very common in the state. But if you live
Some states
together,
have it.
are conjugally together, we are going to determine your spouses. They also have,
Or if you have a ceremony, it's like, the men say we don't want to sign up, and they're like, we're going to make you sign up.
exactly. No, actually, sometimes in some cases they will determine couples are married even if they say that they're not, because they want to tax them at a higher bracket. It's like, no, you guys are living together. We're going to say you're married. But as a result,
That's why if you really want to avoid the whole marriage stuff, you need, you put everything pretty much in her name, you know, in the house and whatnot. You put in her name and, you know, get your mail sent to a P.O. box, and that's it. Like, if you really want to try and avoid it as much as possible, you know, there's various steps that you got to take, and it's a big hassle. But it's probably worth it in the end.
So it's kind of like a microcosm of like how far can we go, like getting rid of the institution of marriage. But one thing I think they do well is when it comes to child custody, both parents are assumed to have equal possession, equal rights to their children. And a lot of, growing up in Asia, I had never met a divorced family until I went to school in Canada. It just never happened. The idea of like double-barreled last names, new concept to me.
Yeah.
But we would usually see kids would do 1 week with mom, 1 week with dad.
Yeah.
And what's interesting with child custody is that why women became default parents was because of the tender years
Yeah.
doctrine.
Yeah.
And women actually argued that we should have default parenthood because we're the ones that are better at taking care of the home and children. And now the courts have ruled that women get default parenthood, child custody. And what's funny is now we have feminism where women say, no, we're equal to men. We are just like men. We can go into the workplace. We don't need to being home and taking care of the kids. That's not for women anymore. So why isn't that reversed? And it's because
Right.
women just
Well,
have all the emotional
sure,
power.
there's feminists.
and,
Yes,
and,
again.
and it's not even true. Like women are more violent with children than men.
Well, I was
And you
going to
could- yeah,
say,
you're gonna talk
I
about
was going
that.
to say, there's a
illness.
piece on my Substack about this,
Yeah.
going over the last 45 years of data from the National Incident Study, with far more comprehensive than the data that Michael Knowles referenced.
They
when
always lie with it.
he
oh,
picked 1 year
I
from one
know, I
CPS
know.
study, and he actually didn't even get the data right there because I went back and checked.
Yeah.
But if you
Fact checked, you were
we,
wrong.
we have
We've tried
45,
to- yeah,
45 years now of major propaganda that has convinced the public that the main threat to women is their husbands. That if you're going to be abused or mistreated, maltreated in any way, that your husband's going to be the guy, and that's what you have to guard against. That's what you have to be careful of. But if you look at the National Incident Studies, which takes data from not just CPS, but all reporting agencies, including like women's shelters, emergency rooms, school counselors, all that sort of thing.
It's actually the migrants.
No, it's actually boyfriend, girlfriends living together, or mom gets a divorce and stepdad moves and mom's boyfriend
Yeah, if you
moves in.
take out
The
stepdads,
lowest incidence of abuse for women and children is with the children's married biological father living
Right.
in the home. When you remove the married biological father, it puts both women and children at the highest risk for every type of maltreatment that there is.
Wow.
Like not
Yeah,
even close. So,
so-
a factor of like 12 times, depending on the living situation.
Yeah, and
but-
so that's why even like women are more nurturing. I don't think that's true. Because
Well,
I don't
if
see
you look
any
at-
evidence, like
yeah.
you know, infanticide or in the first year if the kid dies, police don't even really look into women. It's almost into men because it's assumed it's going to be a woman because men basically never killed a kid within the first year. It's almost always women. But what happens is whenever there's something that makes women look bad, there's always a gut reaction to give
Right,
an excuse.
So
it makes
Pearl,
people uncomfortable. There's something like
man
deeply
versus
ingrained.
bear in the woods. Which do you choose?
Oh, wait, what's the
Okay,
what's
so
the,
you have to choose. You're in the woods.
You're lost in the woods. Would you rather be lost with a bear or a man?
oh, a man?
Okay, but didn't you know that men kill more women than bears every year?
So
So shouldn't you be safer with the bear?
yeah, but they also save more women every year when you look at
Right.
the
It's
military and
woman
police
math.
officers.
Right.
It's
So
woman
the
math.
most doctors. If you
And
look at all
per capita, that's not the same.
if
Yeah,
you look
exactly.
at all
But like we're talking about per capita, right? So
Okay.
the reason why you're still better off choosing the man, even though the bear doesn't kill as many people statistically, is because there's a proximity difference. They're going to be interacting
I've
with
heard this
men
argument
a lot more.
So the
than bears.
argument, the argument I know what you're going to say. The argument is that because women are with children more, they're more likely to kill them again. An excuse, and it's not true because
And it's actually
because
the likelihood is 52%
so again, so
are
women have but the part you didn't put in there, and this is what they always do. It's always a lie. No offense, but
Oh, you
it's
didn't do it yet.
that. No, I know what she's going to say. It's you're going to try to argue that it's pretty much equal for men and women.
It's always like, I didn't get to it. Yeah, you're going to say it anyways. I know. I'm going to cut you off in the head.
Abuse, but if it's a man that abuses the children, it's a stepdad. So whose fault is that? The woman. And so that's the
But
most likely
we have
one.
to-
And then
we have to take accountability
we're
for
going
our
to
own
go.
actions.
And
If
then
the
we're going to
stepfather
go.
is
Then we're going to go.
abusing,
Yeah.
it's
So
his
the
fault.
woman. No, if the woman.
Yeah, but who brought the stepfather in? And most of the time, when the stepfather does do shit, like, the mom doesn't say shit, doesn't do anything about it.
If you. Oh no. And I've interviewed men on the other hand. Oh no.
It's not the
If, oh, no,
stepfather's fault for
If a
abusing?
woman, you are absolutely responsible. Okay, and I'll tell you. I interviewed a guy in London. He actually, his wife left him. She wasn't happy. She left. Right. Took his kids, and she got primary custody. Do you know who's in the house with the kids? A pedophile. A freaking pedophile. That woman is responsible for anything that happens because she brought that kid into the house.
100%,
Or guy
and
into the
that man
house.
is
But
also
we're going back to
responsible for-
biological. Okay.
Again, every single time you paint a woman in a negative light, you blame women for anything, Laura Chin just goes, but what about the men, though? What about the men, though? Yes, we agree that the man is responsible for his own actions, but it's the woman's fault primarily because she ultimately decided who to bring into her children's life. That's why it's a woman's fault primarily. It's not just the guy's fault. It's the guy at fault, absolutely, but it's not. It's primarily, pretty much solely, because what'll happen is you'll see these women will see the guys do something, and they'll do shit about it because they're in love, they're happy, blah 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 blah. So but again, Laura Chin, the feminist, she's like always about what about the men, though? Every single time. Like, if you notice throughout this entire podcast, every time you painted women in negative light and kind of went at women, she'd always bring it, but what about the men? No one cares about what about the men. Like, again, I agree. Well, men are responsible for their own actions. I 100% agree with that. But it's the woman's primary fault because she's the one with custody of the kids. She's the viewed as the guardian. She should be guarding. She shouldn't be letting these weirdos in, and just because her feeling, she got butterflies in her stomach. All right.
But basically, you keep strawmanning me. This is the thing. Male parent biological, female parent biological. The woman is not the best one with the child. It is the man. And the abuse things you're trying to say is that women. You're trying to say that because women are the children more, they're more abusive. We talked about this. If that was true, then less time with children, the incidence of abuse would have gone down. But as they've spent less time with children, abuse has gone up. So it's not the time spent.
Well, it's not necessarily the time spent. It's who's the primary caregiver, because abuse usually happens among people with low socioeconomic status. Unfortunately, that's just true. I'm not saying if you're poor, you're going to abuse your kid, but the majority of abuse does come from people who are from lower socioeconomic backgrounds. People who are also from lower socioeconomic backgrounds, overwhelmingly single mothers.
But that could be an inverted correlation or causation. It could
actually, no. So in the bell curve, they actually do a study on this. It's not just that if you are a single mother, you are more likely to be poor. If you are poor, you are more likely to be a single mother. And the reason why I bring this up is because you can't really make an apples to apples comparison, because the men in those scenarios, by and large, are not also present in the household. Men who are from low socioeconomic backgrounds, where they fathered a child out of wedlock, they're not sticking around. So it's hard to say that this proves that men are more nurturing when men aren't even part of the picture in the first place. That's almost like saying that because it's almost like saying that because men make up the majority of fatalities on like oil rigs, therefore women must be better on oil rigs.
Is abortion murder?
Oh,
yes.
Wow, that's a good
one
point.
out of 3 women has murdered their own kids. So I would say women are less nurturing for 3 reasons. One, they're
Can
the
men
most
get
likely.
abortions?
They're the most. But see, it's like, well, what about the men though? Let's talk about women, then we can get.
See, exactly. See, she's like, she just went back, like every single time, like she just was like, all right, is abortion murder? Yes. Okay. 1 out of 4, I think she said, women have aborted their child, so therefore X. And then she's like, well, what about men? Can they get abortions? I'm not talking about the men, I'm talking about the women.
Get to the men.
Sure.
So 1 out of 3 women's had an abortion. So women are the most violent towards kids when they're in the womb. After first year, most likely one to kill the kid, women. And then throughout the kid's life, the most likely one to abuse them is women. So based on that evidence, I would say that men are better with children and more nurturing. Next piece of evidence, single father homes fare statistically better than single mother homes. And I know what they typically like to say is that it's because in cases where fathers get the children as extreme, something like that. Okay, fine. But I'm saying that evidence right now is that men are better with children than women. Rachel can also talk more about the data breakdown.
Okay, can I So the idea that men are better with children because overwhelmingly low socioeconomic status, the men have gone. That doesn't make them more nurturing.
Wait, say that again. So men have gone?
Yeah, like
but
if
why?
you are. Is it because the woman doesn't want them?
Typically, yeah.
I mean, I don't know what you're basing that off of, especially like.
Okay, so and I'm basing it off of again, the number one reason that women leave is irreconcilable.
No, but you're talking about marriages, lower socioeconomic status where these abuse happens. It's not necessarily the case where we were married and then we got divorced. Especially if you're talking about the Black community, these people were never married in the first place.
Okay, but what is your point?
The point is you can't say that someone is more nurturing when they don't even show up in the first place. When you don't even take the role of caregiver in the first place. And it's the same thing you mentioned. Women are more likely to kill the elderly. It's again because women are overrepresented in elderly workers.
Okay, what evidence? Okay, what evidence do you have that women are more nurturing?
Sorry, go ahead.
So
I was just going to say I have some data that might help clarify this because it's actually a misunderstanding. This was a big feminist talking point for the last 40 years that when we would bring up the statistics of women being the primary people to abuse children in every metric, whether it's like mental, emotional abuse, any type of abuse across the board, that mothers are statistically more likely to do that than fathers. And it doesn't depend on the socioeconomic status, although you're correct that generally the lower socioeconomic status has more abuse. It's proportionally still women regardless of class. And they would say, well, it's because they're the primary caregivers, they spend the most time. But what we've seen over the last 40 years is that as men have gained more parenting time and more custody, you would expect that figure to change somewhat, and it has not. It has stayed exactly the same. And researchers say that the reasons why women are more abusive is not because they spend more time. It's because on average, they're much more likely to be emotionally unstable or have mental health issues. 26% of all adult American women are on at least one psychiatric prescription drug, and men tend to be an emotional stabilization factor. So when you remove the dad from the home, you tend to, yes, you could talk about pressures of motherhood and things like that, but it tends to just be that men are the stabilizing, protective force, and
men are stabilizing, women are emotional. Boom.
Women left to their own devices are more likely to abuse. And I think that's partially also because men, when they grow up, learn about rough and tumble play. They know where the limits of physicality are. They know that they can hurt somebody if they get carried away. Women don't have those same experiences. We don't wrestle. We don't fist fight like boys do. And so when you're an adult woman and you lose your shit on a little kid who you actually have, you have more strength than, or you have the monopoly on force there, women are more likely to get carried away and lose it with a kid. Same thing in children's prisons, like juvenile facilities. The women tend to be the abusers in those facilities as well.
And pedophiles. I mean, how many teachers are sleeping with students now?
And this is why biblical patriarchy is really the answer, because if we're promoting, realistically telling people not to get married and stuff, like a lot of the red pill people do kind of advocate for degeneracy. I like Myron, but he does say like men should sleep with 50 women. Mm-hmm. And with that, you're going to get way more broken up families. And
I really hate this. She's right about the whole degeneracy and whatnot, but she's getting this wrong. Like most people, whenever they want to bring up this 50 women thing, it's always incorrect. Hold on, I gotta clean out my earphone because because they always ignore the purpose. What is the purpose of the 50 women? All right, it's just because, haha, I slept with 50 women, so I am the king. No, there's a purpose to the 50 women count, and he's even admitted that count's not really stagnant. It's not a hard number. It's just a nice round figure because we all like nice round figures. It's probably like the most you have to do. No matter how terrible you are, like with women, if you slept with 50 of them, at that point, you should have a good understanding of women. It's not a hard number. It's probably like the last resort number, really, for the average dude. But the purpose of the 50, for those who don't know, is Myron from Fresh Fit advocates the whole 50 body count because he says that you shouldn't think about getting married until you're 30. Have 60K in the bank or something, like in savings. You slept with 50 women and something like that. So the purpose of the 50 women is to eventually get married. And to do that, you need experiences with women to understand their nature so you can root out the shitty ones from the big ones, from the good ones. And guys take repetition. It takes us a while to really get it through our heads before we finally, we get it. So that's the point of the 50. It's actually the 50 body count, metric is, again, it's not a hard number. You can get it in, it ranges from probably like 1 to 50. 50 is like last resort. That's as much. Like if all else fails, by 55, if you slept with 50 women, you should understand female nature. Okay. If all else fails, if you're just so dumb, okay, by 50 women, you should understand female nature at that point. So it's not really a hard 50, but these fucking people that and Myron admits he's a degenerate too, but they always misconstrue, misquote, and don't fail to appropriately suss out that 50. They just like to say, the 50, sleep with 50 women. Well, there's a purpose to it. There's a purpose to the 50 women.
And we see the detrimental effects on the children, which, roughly 50% of them will be men in the future. And when children are raised by single mothers, the girls actually kind of thrive. They have daddy issues, so they'll probably become a whore, but hey, empowered boss babe, you're thriving in today's society. But they actually do pretty well in school. Boys, they have behavioral problems. They just act out. They're more likely to get into crime, et cetera, et cetera. They're less likely to graduate. That's partly why we see a lot of the women outperforming men in the education systems. So it's actually bad for future men to have single mothers to begin with. And that's why we need to be promoting men having strong leadership. There are things, nothing's foolproof, but there are things that men can do. Like I've seen Tim Gordon say, you have to have your wife promise, like she will always obey you. No, feminists these days are not going to say, I'm going to obey you. I'm not saying it's foolproof. Women are manipulators. They can lie. But also another thing you can do is studies have shown in the 90s when divorce rates have skyrocketed that if you and your wife pray for 5 minutes every single day, that you have a 1 in 1,000 chance of getting a divorce. So again, not perfect, but you can do things that will greatly limit your
lives. Skip a week? And am I still included?
I think the major thing is, you can talk about all this biblical shit, but look at Steven Crowder. Okay, so I mean, if you want men to get even risk the chance of getting married, you're gonna have to change the laws. The laws are gonna have to change first. No matter what you do, the law's gonna have to change. And like I said, I'm advocating for men should get full custody straight out the gate.
Hang on, because I want to go back to the comparison between single mothers and single fathers that you raised, because something that I noticed, when you talk about these issues, is that you have a very literally one-dimensional viewpoint or analysis.
What do you mean by one-dimensional?
You're looking at just men versus women, right? But the thing is, when you actually break down a lot of these outcomes, things like race and socioeconomic factor play a huge role. So you're talking about single mothers, you're talking about abortions.
60% of abortions are white women.
Right. But are white women 60% of the population?
No, but black women do it at a higher rate.
Right. But
let's not pretend of the population, and
42%
I understand that black women have higher rates, but if you look at suicide rates, and again, I attribute a lot of suicide to family court. White men have the highest suicide rate, and this correlates with what I've seen. White women are especially vicious in family court because they're the ones making it down the aisle. True. But and I had an attorney say this to me. He's like, I will never marry a white woman because you guys are vicious in family court.
But that's an anecdote. White women are less likely. They're one of the least likely groups to get divorced.
But when they do it, and we saw this with Steven Crowder. When we saw this with Steven Crowder, when they do it hard. And that are there differences by race? Sure.
Especially, yes. I mean, even when it comes to something like body count or STDs, you say the average woman has a black woman is 5 to 8%, 5 to 8 times more likely than a white woman to have all these STIs.
That's true, but it's still 1 out of 6 white women. Is that winning? wow, great job, white women. It's instead of 1 out of 2 for black women, it's 1 out of 6.
It is better.
I mean, it's better, but it's not good. And that's my point. And the trends are still the same. Sure, it affects the black community first. That's what I've seen firsthand, but it still goes into white communities. And you can see that by looking at whatever podcast. Half of those whores are white.
But don't you?
So this idea you won't be at risk. I think it's selling a dream by saying you can just marry a white woman and you won't have any of these problems.
You can just marry a white woman who prays every day, and absolutely you will be in a statistically different position than you were if you were to marry a black woman without a high school degree.
Okay, let's look at the behaviors. What would a super religious woman do? She would have the behaviors that match up. She would wait till she's married. Well, only 3% of women have waited until they're married. So if we're going to go the moral route and say, oh, just marry a woman that prays, where are the virgins? There aren't any.
Is this why there's like this trend or whatever for guys who want Asian wives, or why there's a claim that there's such a
No, guys want Asian wives because statistically, Asian wives are more likely to be submissive. They're docile, shit like that. It's kind of ingrained in their culture that they're going to be submissive. That's pretty much their culture. They're going to be quiet. They're not going to be annoying, stuff of that nature. All the other races have like some annoying bitchiness, and Asians, I think, have the least. At least, I'm just thinking this off the top of my head.
Yeah, well, Asians also have a very low divorce rate. They have I think they have the lowest rate of single motherhood.
lowest rate of addiction, lowest rate of criminality, lowest rate of divorce.
Okay, but
and so that's why it's just when you talk about like, oh, women have a problem. It's like, well, most of these problems are pretty concentrated among certain populations.
If 1 out of 6 women have an STD in the white community, is that still a significant problem? The same way if 1 out of 6 men had been to jail, that would be a problem.
Right.
Okay, so
it's
again,
not the majority.
Okay, it doesn't mean it's the majority, but it's significant enough that I can say that the problem is amongst women, and the trend is still going that way. So, okay, yeah, maybe some communities it's at slower rates, but the birth rate is still dropping. The age of first marriage is still raising.
Don't you see if there's a problem where you're talking to, let's say, college-educated men?
No, I talk to all races.
You're talking to college-educated men using stats from high school dropouts who are black. You're like, you're likely to get.
No, I don't. That's not true. That's not true at all. So, I mean, a lot of like the men that I've interviewed are military men. It's very, very sad, and that's not uncommon at all in the white community.
Yeah, because your rate of education also impacts. And if you're in the military, you're likely enlisted.
Lauren, 50% of billionaires are divorced. Boom.
Yeah.
Okay, so disregard.
Well,
so this is 50%.
That is an important percent to talk about if I were a
this is the thing.
Who initiates the divorce in the billionaire ones? Because wasn't it the dudes?
No, Mackenzie Bezos left Jeff.
Oh,
But
really?
I think
And Bill, right?
I think it was she had already. Bezos had already had like a girlfriend or something.
Well, yeah, if you're married to a billionaire, what do you expect? So
Yeah, guy's gonna be like, don't divorce me. I don't want to give you.
yeah, but this
$50
is like I just don't like selling dreams because I've seen the other side, Lauren, and a lot of you guys, you just have not interviewed the other side. And we ran the data. It's
You
like
should interview the other side, and
no, I've talked to married men too. I know that some work out, but if and the way David Baker helped me, I said if we had 100 marriages, how many would the men commit suicide in? Like how many would it get so bad? We found that it's like 13% of divorces are malicious. So that means she's trying to take your kids away, trying to take your money away. If I had to take a pill with a 13% chance of failure. Oh my God! No, I would not
13% of divorces.
No. 13%. That it's either 13 or 18. I can't remember the exact. It's either 13 or 18. But it's that out of 100 marriages, you get between 13 and 18 that the woman is trying to take away your kids, trying to take as much money as she can from you. That it's we categorize it as malicious, where she's trying to alienate you from your children. That's significant, and I would never downplay it because again, I've interviewed men where if they committed suicide this year, I would not be surprised at all. I'll interview men 3 miles from him. He hasn't seen his kids in 3 years. And these are not the player types. These are not the men that are sleeping around. They're average men, average earners. And what they do is they try to find a good woman and get married. And they were sold this bill of goods.
So don't you think that part of your advocacy, which I'm not all against, you do a lot of posts that I like that you're talking about no fault divorce and, because I don't like the laws either. I don't like the government, but I just feel like if you want men to make informed decisions, which I think we all agree they should do when it comes to something like marriage, if you're not talking about these differences that exist racially, that exist based on education level, that exist based on level of piety, then you're not giving them all of the information
but
out
the issue is the trend. Look at, and this is the thing, a lot of you guys, you're not in the trenches. You're not interviewing people. Like I've interviewed 1,000 people across the world in the past 3 years. I think it's probably more than that, but that's just when we started logging people. And if you talk to young women, it's like they're graduating high school from all different types of communities with body counts of 5, 6. That's not abnormal from the 18, 19, 20, 21, 22-year-olds I've spoken to. And the problem with data is you are always going to get data that hides anything that makes women look bad. And so you're never going to get the full picture until you're actually talking to these people and doing the work.
Well, but that's kind of hard because the plural of anecdote, which you have a lot of, is data.
Okay.
Right? That's our best way to datum.
No. The plural of anecdote is not data.
No, it's not.
No, the saying is the plural of anecdote is not data.
I'm not anti-data, but what you are not going to put up data in front of me that makes me not believe what's in front of my eyes.
No, it's not that you should believe what's in front of your eyes.
On social media. Go on TikTok. You see women bragging about this stuff.
I'm sorry. Actually, what I said was the misquote that is commonly used, and the actual quote, you were correct. From political scientist Ray Wolfing, I fact check. Everyone online says the plural of anecdote is not data. He actually said the plural of anecdote is data.
Yeah.
You were right.
So I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example, like the suicide rate. I wouldn't know unless I actually spoke to the men.
So, Laura Chen's just what she's getting at is, well, you gotta, you gotta give it all. Where it's this amount with white women, this amount with black women, all all the negative data points and all that stuff. It doesn't really fucking matter to the men, whether it's white, black, or Mexican or Asian or things like that. It's really not gonna matter. Because the women we like are the women we like. So it doesn't matter. Like, this whole like, oh, you gotta be, break it down and fight. We're not gonna base everything on statistics. Like, obviously we're gonna based on like, whether we should get married, shit like that, and based on, all right, let's look at the numbers, let's see how it is, blah blah blah. We'll do that. But who we're attracted to has nothing to do with our, with the numbers. Like, yeah, they were talking about, oh, there's a movement going towards Asian women and stuff like that. Okay, cool. But I'm willing to bet that's a significant low, majority. Like, there's a movement, but it's probably a small movement. And again, it's all going to be based on who we're attracted to, and who we're attracted to is women. And so it doesn't matter really to men, like breaking down, oh, you're safer with a black woman or safer with a white woman or some shit like that. We're not that safe though. Like, until the laws change, we're really not that safe, regardless of the skin color of the individual. So, I mean, this is kind of a moot point, because all it comes down to is the laws. All right, that's all it comes down to.
Men, and actually did digging that a lot of suicides are from family court. Before I started researching this stuff, I had no idea. From what I've seen, we followed like 2,000 divorces in Michigan. 70% of the men that commit suicide had some contact with family court in the last 5 years. That's over 400,000 men. That's more. We're almost to the point where there's more men that have killed themselves than died in all of the wars combined. So it's like, I'm not discounting differences in groups, but regardless, we see the trend over there. Women are becoming more liberal. Why would they not become more liberal sexually?
I will say though, and I agree, that's an awful issue. Men offing themselves. I know you can't say that word. Unaliving themselves is really bad. However, I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm saying it is an individual choice. However, these awful things that happen with their families, what caused them to do that, right? I'm totally granting you that. I'm just pointing this out because you will say women are whores because it's their individual choice. But I do think that society, and I hate being like, oh, society, but feminism, everyone's telling you you're empowered if you're a whore, be a boss babe. Obviously, these things that are happening in life will lead you to make these bad decisions. And the same can be said.
So wait, explain that. Can you
Again, what about the men though? Like, it's always what about the men with these broads? Like, every single time, like, you just paint a woman in a negative light, and it's like, well, what about the men though? Again, we're not taking a responsibility away from the men, but we're saying the primary responsibility, the main responsibility, is due to women. Huh? But no, what about the men though?
explain that a different way? I'm just trying to understand your point.
Basically, what I'm trying to say is that you have said that women, when they make these individual choices to be whores, that's on them.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I agree, it's on them, but there are influences that are influencing them to make that decision.
Okay.
So I'm saying, like, if we ever want to solve these problems, we have to, like he said, bring back the culture. We have to shame these people. And I'm just trying to point out that it's not always just fully on the individual. I know it really, at the end of the day, is. You know what I'm trying to say?
But again, this is going back to a wish list that's never going to happen.
But wait, but it can happen. We can start doing it. And actually, when it comes to female behaviors, one of the biggest checks on female behaviors is other females. I mean, I don't want to say bullying them, but yeah, kind of keeping in check. That's a very important part of female social structure, is like kind of women keeping each other in check. So it is important that as fellow women, actually, and that's why like a lot of people were ragging on you for the I deem appropriate outfit. I don't have a problem with that.
I love that.
It's amazing. Before we left the hotel, I was like, "Do you deem this appropriate?"
This is something that you are doing that is improving the behavior and the outcome.
No,
I think it is. I think it is because
no, it's not. It's totally not. Because Pearl's one person. You would need like a good amount of women to do this. It's just Pearl doing this, and it's a majority pushback from women. So no, it's not. It's like it's not changing shit. Okay, no one's gonna give a shit what Pearl thinks. You're gonna need more. You're gonna need a higher number of females doing this shit.
Because women need to start being called out. It's like
Michaela Peterson just posted a
that was so weird.
Did
you see actual boobs out breastfeeding?
Yeah, that was bad.
Oh my god!
And this is the daughter of a like one of the best conservatives ever. I love Jordan Peterson.
But is that Andrew Tate's baby?
I'm just for every Michaela Peterson, like I think that is the right direction. Like this is stuff where we as women can hold each other accountable and make positive change that way.
And why didn't you shame Nala?
Nala, well, again, because this is where she's trying to turn a new leaf.
And she raised her OnlyFans prices. Why didn't you shame her?
Well, she says that she says that she raised her OnlyFans prices because she was trying to discourage people from.
That's the dumbest argument ever. If you want to do it, just if you want to discourage people from subscribing, you shouldn't be raising your prices. You should be deleting the goddamn videos or privating all the videos and everything like that. Like, it's ridiculous. I mean, it'd be one thing if she raised the prices to like, $50,000 and everything. That would be one thing. But I doubt. I bet she raised it to like $20 or whatever it was. Like, you know, she probably just doubled the, you know, yeah. It was probably like $20 or something like that. I don't know.
Well,
Bullshit.
how much did she raise the prices? If she set them to like 9999999, I'd say that makes sense. If she was like, it's now $20 instead of 10, I should.
Wait, so how does OnlyFans work? Like, can you deactivate it? I keep hearing
you
everything.
can't.
on
So
this.
you
okay,
you
I'll
can't
give
deactivate it until
you get 3 months. You get 3 months to deactivate it. But she was baptized in December. She was still posting things after she was baptized, and then she raised the prices. She did not delete the OnlyFans until the day before the Michael Knowles interview. It was either in April or May.
So December, April, May. So December. Let's do this. January, February, March, April, May.
I can't remember the exact date.
Yeah.
Why did it take you 4 months?
She's
Yeah,
getting
that's
paid.
weird.
That's the point. And so it's like, okay, shame her then.
Yeah,
but
if she's-
instead you
here's the
shame
thing.
me for pointing it out.
No, I didn't shame you for trying
Yes,
to like
you
look
did.
into whether she is or not. I think that's fine. Like I said, we need to hold people accountable. But what I was
Tone
complaining
policing.
about, no, it's not tone policing. It's the idea that Jesus cannot save these whores. Jesus can save any of
Oh my God. Like, I think these women are like legitimately retarded, for fuck's sake. Okay. The point wasn't Jesus can't save their souls. They just can't save them from their consequences. And it's pretty fucking obvious.
us. And that's the thing. If we have to be able to offer redemption, to offer a way out for all of
I
these
never
women,
said-
are they just garbage? Now
Well,
being
yeah,
slept
but my
around?
point is
What's
you were
their
more
future?
concerned with my tone than her action, and that's the problem we get
But
in
her
churches.
action stopped.
No, but
that's the
that's
thing.
the
And I've made more OnlyFans videos than like anybody. I mean, about OnlyFans.
But I need to
OnlyFans
stop you.
videos.
I need to stop because you're not correct. She raised the prices. You were more concerned about my tone than the actions of the whore. Fine, but I want to show this is what's going on in churches across America.
I think whore might be used derogatively.
Model?
Hooker. Because like,
But isn't
hookers-
that what a whore is? Someone you pay for sex, like the official definition, like a whore.
I agree with that, but I feel like whore is used often for women who are not hookers to insult them, whereas a hooker is a description of the job they're doing. That's why I think hooker is the
I have a
appropriate term.
hierarchy of
all the
whoredom.
above.
If you want to see, I actually went through these terms in my hierarchy of whoredom. You know, so I made a video about this.
And Pearl, even though sometimes I disagree with maybe like the solutions that you pose, this is why I will never agree with all the conservative feminists that get so outraged by what you do, because I'm so pro shame, and I think that there needs to be a fight back against the feminism, and a lot of that is shaming women. We need way more of that. So that's why you've never seen me, even if I disagree with something you say, I'm like, I don't care what she says. I'm glad that she's moving like the Overton window, and I love your series that 35-year-old women are not as attractive as
Oh, yeah, that
25-year-old
was the other
women.
one. What was wrong with that, Lauren?
So you
Yeah, go
were
ahead.
very specific in how you phrased that.
I said,
35. You did a video saying 35-year-old women are uglier. And so,
is that true?
well,
Is that true or untrue?
what you mean, and you would be correct if you said it, is that a woman at 25 is more attractive than she is at 35. But at the end
No,
of the
no,
day,
I said exactly what I meant. That was exactly, is that 35-year-old women are uglier than 25-year-old
And so this is
women.
what the truth
But
is.
this is
That's-
tone policing.
attractive. No, it's
Yeah, that's exactly true. Okay. If you're 25, you're uglier when you're 35. It's just what it is. No, it's not. Like, again, like Lauren Shin's a fucking feminist. Like,
Uni's on the inside.
No, it's not on the inside. It's not tone policing. The fact of the
Yes,
matter
it is.
The fact of the matter is
Is it true?
Pretty
Yes or no?
people
Is it
are
true?
ugly. Pretty people are uglier than ugly people. So men will absolutely choose an 8
people?
who's 24 over a 4.
You said pretty people. Did you mean something else?
Oh, sorry.
No,
pretty people
fertility-
are more attractive.
Fertility
than-
is one of the number one things that men select on. There's even a Patrice O'Neill joke where he says like a hot 18-year-old is always going to be hotter
Wait,
than a 30-year-old.
didn't you have a tweet where
Wait,
it was
no,
like
no, that
25-year-olds are more
hot
attractive than
16-year-old?
16-year-olds were more attractive?
I did. I got a lot of pushback for that
But do
one.
you believe it?
So I need to. I'm gonna defend her on this one. It's actually disgusting in my opinion. There was this poll survey that found when they did a scientific survey where they presented images of women to men and they asked them to rate them on attractiveness, and 14, 15, and 16 scored substantially higher.
Yeah.
When they factored in age, it dropped dramatically. And the thesis was men do consider mental development and attractiveness.
Mhm.
They do not want children. They want women who are capable of functioning in society. But when they removed that factor and it was simply on appearance,
Right.
they
Well,
were actually
yeah,
real quick. They were
sorry,
choosing teenage girls, and what a lot of
I disagree with Tim Pool or the study's conclusion. I think that has to do more with it's gonna sound terrible, but it has to do more with the fact that the law says 18 is age of consent. It's really generally what it is. Because man, what we're thinking of, we're not thinking of like creepy stuff. We're thinking of like, you know, fertility. How many of my babies, okay, this is deep down in our core brain. How many of them babies can this chick hold? Well, you know, she's 16, she can hold a lot more. Now, should we be dating 16-year-olds? No, should be dating 16-year-olds, or should we do dating 18? But if you remove the law, then yeah, men would start going for like 16-year-olds and shit like that. It's just, you know, it's just the law is the one doing it. But again, it's not because we're weird, you know, creepy, you know, stuff. We're just thinking, all right, how many of these of my babies can this, you know, woman have? And if I want a lot of kids, I want to go with the person that has the most fertility. Again, stick to 18. I think age consent of 18 is, or adult as 18. I think that's great. I think that's reasonable. We're no longer in that age where we need to have, you know, need to procreate with, you know, this, you know, high fertility, you know, we don't have to procreate with, you know, as young as we can get as you know, we don't have to procreate with 16-year-olds to have, you know, a bunch of kids in hopes that we'll have a few that will stay alive, not kick the bucket. So I think age of consent of 18 is perfectly fine, or adult, considering an adult 18. I think that's great for the society we live in now. It still gives women 12 years to find a man. So, but I don't think it's more the mentality and stuff. I think it just has to do with the laws. But when we look at straight appearance, because there's a appearance look that screams fertility, and the older you get, that kind of goes away. So I think the conclusion Tim Pool's getting is slightly incorrect. But again, age 18, adult, that's great. The society we live in now, 18 is a perfect age.
People don't know when you're walking in the mall and you see a Victoria's Secret. I don't want to call that specific because I don't know, but I can tell you a lot of the models you see in magazines and in stores are 15-year-old girls. The modeling industry, like the women on the catwalk, women doing they're in their bras and their underwear. These are like 15-year-olds, and there's a reason why the modeling agencies choose them. I think it's nasty.
Yeah.
I'll answer your question.
I'm trying to make, though,
You
is
asked me a
that-
question if I actually think that.
Yeah, but
I'm in Europe. The age of consent is 16 in Europe. So all I did was Google the age of consent and then tweet it, and everyone got mad.
But do you believe that 16-year-olds are
I'm not
hotter?
attracted to women, so.
but I think the reason why you ended up getting like all these women sending you their selfies, which is like I did not.
So bad.
You
I
were
did not.
so
So
amazing.
amazing.
You were more concerned about my tone than married women sending me selfies when they're married.
Well, here's the thing. A man will, I believe this to my core. If there is an 8 who is 24, he will choose them over a 2 who is 20, like 100%.
Well, yeah, if they're fat.
Yeah, but
That's like
we're
the
just
opposite.
saying all things being equal.
What? That doesn't make any. Of course, we're gonna go with the hotter one. Yeah, she's a 2. It's a dumb conclusion. But if all things being equal, one is say a 28-year-old 8, and then you got an 18-year-old 8 or a 20-year-old 8, we're gonna go pick the 18 or 20-year-old. Like, what the fuck is this shit? Like it's not that's not an apples oranges comparison. Like that was a dumb comparison. Yeah, we'll pick the 24-year-old over the 20-year-old. All right, the 24-year-old at least has, she's hot and she's still fertile.
Yeah,
But that's not what Pearl said, and that is why you got attacked. Because you were vague and you left yourself open to that.
No, I don't think I was vague at all. I think women are stupid. I mean,
Generally
women 35. Okay, Lauren, I need a yes or no. Are 35-year-old women uglier than 25-year-old women?
A woman is less attractive at 35 than she is at 20. At 35.
Okay, so why was I wrong for saying that?
Because you said 35-year-old women are ugly. That was your video.
Are uglier than 20?
No, your video I think was just like literally they're ugly.
But no, I said 35-year-old women are less attractive than 25-year-old women.
You said uglier specifically, and it was just go with the video.
I would say on average, 35-year-old women are uglier than the average of 25-year-old women.
Yeah, because even then, if Pearl had said that, she wouldn't have been bombarded with all this stuff.
This goes back to this tone.
No. No matter what she said, she would have been bombarded. And again, Pearl's right. This is all tone policing. You didn't say it nicely, so therefore you're wrong.
Was it?
No,
was
it's
it-
not
wait,
tone
was it-
policing.
What's fun about
Yes, see, there you go. Yes, you're less attractive. I didn't even say uglier.
No, it's a video. It's the video, not
Yes,
the
you're
tweet.
less
It's the
attractive.
tweet.
That's what-
No, sorry, it's the video that was funny too.
I don't know. I had to delete a bunch of videos.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
we can play her video though. We can play it because she made a video on me. I'm here. She's been talking shit for a year. I'm here to address.
Yeah, well, that is.
Everyone says I was ducking. I was in volleyball. I'm done with volleyball. I'm here.
But that also brings me
Are
to
you,
like.
are you good at volleyball?
Yeah, I was gonna go professional
Oh, wow.
actually until the YouTube stuff. But I played semi-professional for 3 years, so I just finished season a month ago.
So that
I got
brings me
started in
to Bernadine Bluntly is an account who she
Oh,
is
she's
like.
nuts.
She's Christian. She is
She's
a
an absolute
scandal.
lunatic.
She's a lunatic.
So why do you think she's a lunatic?
Because I think it's quite you're a lunatic if you as a married woman feel the need to prove your hotness to me. If you
So-
see that and say my only, I need to. Rachel, you're married. Where was my selfie?
I guess I just have low self-esteem and hate myself and all women.
So
So
the
I'm
thing with
sorry.
And
Bernadine
then I've
is-
also seen. I have to think of what else I've seen from her. I've seen other stuff too. though.
She
viciously goes
she
after me all the
posted a
time.
video, a photo of herself before and after about a 30-pound weight loss that she had gone through after one of her pregnancies, talking about how she didn't like how she looked, so she sucked it up, got on the treadmill, lost like 30
She's
pounds.
still fat.
I think that's a good thing saying you lost weight, but why post the before and after? It's like, hey, look how skinny I am.
But is that the problem
it was
that
how
she's trying to
she said something and
improve
she made-
herself?
no, she
Should
made-
we not, as
we
married
can pull it up.
women,
We can pull
be
it up.
trying to improve ourselves?
No, stop, Lauren. Stop it. All right. This has nothing to do with, she's trying. No, what she was trying to do is some thirst trap shit. Where like, oh, look, here I am. It's like a sneaky thirst trap type shit, where she's like, well, I'm just doing it before and after, but now I'm after. Look how hot I am. Like, that's what it was about. And that's what Pearl's pointing at. All right. It wasn't, opposed to like, hey, I've worked my ass off. I've lost 30 pounds. I feel more healthy and attractive. No pictures or anything. And just, ladies go out there and go work out. It wasn't that. It was a before and after picture. Look at my weight loss journey. That's a fucking thirst trap shit. It's a sneaky thirst trap.
it?
No,
Like,
there's
who is it?
nothing wrong with married women trying to improve
But I
herself.
think that's
But
what
the way,
Bernadine's
but the way,
post
the way
was.
that she
Just
said
to
it,
clear.
it was, I can't remember what she said, but I think I said, cry me a river.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I meant it. Cry me a river.
But she's admitting she was overweight, put in the work to lose weight. She's doing this for her health, for her husband. Is that not a positive
What's wrong?
thing?
Yeah, but what's wrong with me saying cry me a river?
Like, do you think that's the type of?
I'd have to remember
do you
what
think that's
exactly she
encouraging
said.
people who want to lose weight and look good
Well,
for their
I just think
husbands?
I think it's quite odd to be showcasing your body to the world as a married
Can we
woman.
see the tweet? I just
I
want to see
don't
that.
know.
I never saw this. I don't know
what's
what
the
this
name?
is.
Bernadine Bluntly.
Because like, how scandalous is the after?
Oh no, I mean she's
It
just in a,
wasn't- it
she's
wasn't-
just in a t-shirt. It's not like
I can't remember. I have
But
to
this reminds
remember
me of the
exactly.
DeLuca situation where it's like, oh, I'm baking a cake, but here's like this really tight shirt with my big boobs, and like I'm not showing you what I'm
I
baking. I'm
have
showing you
not
this.
heard Bernadine accused of immodesty.
It wasn't that one.
And I don't know her, so I'm not.
But wait, so no, I'm serious though. What was wrong with the 25 to 35?
The 25.
Because you keep switching it when I make a point, and we were talking about the 25 to 35. We could talk about this too. I'm totally down.
I don't know how to find the. I don't know. I'm
You
searching
gotta
for
go
it.
look for it.
But,
Actually,
like,
let
what
me-
did she say?
Okay,
What is
hang
it?
on.
What's
I know it was something really dramatic, and I know I said cry me a river. That's what it was, because
But
it
it
was
was
very.
literally just her talking about her weight loss as a mom.
It was something that I took as dramatic. I can't remember off the top of my head. I just remember what I thought.
I think Google is blocking the search.
Wait, try.
Hang on, I'm looking at media because, like, on her account.
Can we talk about the 25 to 35? Do you concede that I'm able to say that?
I don't have a problem with the tweet
Oh,
there.
is
as
it
it's
this-
written.
is it
I
this?
brought up
Was it
the-
this?
Yeah.
That
was the
Go
image-
up. Go up. Was that the one I responded to? It might have been. You can click it, see if I'm below it. I don't think that was the one.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it.
I think it was a different one. Because I think she got pushback because it was really dramatic, and then she put actual steps.
Yeah, I'll keep looking.
Oh
You
yeah.
guys,
So the photo, the
Can I
post.
see?
I think this is the one. So it doesn't have her body in it. It's her face.
Can I see
Oh.
that? I think it was.
I see her talking crap about you.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me see.
Always.
Oh yeah, this is why. She said, I took this picture a year ago.
Oh,
A
yeah,
few
that was
minutes
the one.
earlier, I was getting dressed and hated it because I didn't recognize who I was when I saw in the mirror. Postpartum and stress weight gain. In the middle of sobbing, I thought to myself, you can keep crying or go do something about it. I finished getting dressed later and I bought sweatpants and a loose tee and went for a walk. 1 year later, I've lost 30 pounds. I've gained health, stamina, and confidence. I'm thankful this girl didn't quit. I'm thankful she chose to do something about it. And I said, blah, 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 cry me a river. 'Cause I just
Yeah. What the fuck is this? Like, it's so dumb. Like, why are you being so dramatic on social media? It's for likes and attention. Yeah, all right.
thought it was dramatic. And you know what? If you're posting on the internet, what do you guys expect?
But
This
it's
is
like,
the internet.
don't you
But
think
what's
we
the
should?
point?
What?
What's the point? Like, why? What is your goal?
I just thought it was funny. And so did other people. It's Twitter.
Okay.
Twitter's like the shit
Yeah,
posting
so
site.
it's like-
I mean,
that's a fair point.
Yeah, it's Twitter. Like, what do you expect going
That's
on
the
Twitter?
internet.
But
What
we
is
also
that?
see
This
that
goes-
it's a good
this goes
thing
back
that she
to-
lost the weight.
This goes
and-
back to tone policing, though. You don't like my tone, okay?
Well,
I just thought it was dramatic. She was like,
tone
"Ah,
policing
it's crazy."
it makes it seem like
I
you're
just-
basically just dismissing her post. Where we
And-
should be. It's not a
Why
question
should,
of
why
like.
should we
so-
should or shouldn't?
So I
It's a
agree.
good thing. It's a good thing she lost weight.
It is a
I-
good thing, but
I-
it's like it was dramatic.
I agree
So
with
what?
I agree with Lauren on like the principle of someone's trying to lose weight, you don't shame them. But to your point, you're saying it's Twitter and you enjoyed it, you did it
Yeah.
anyway. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I got nothing to say. Yeah,
And
okay.
it's like, what do you want? You want a medal? It's like women act like losing weight's like the most difficult
It is.
thing ever. It's like just don't eat as much. It's not that hard.
I just thought it's like, it's like, it's another
If
video he's
somebody
doing.
says that to a man, though, nobody gets upset. And the
Yeah.
difference is, if you say
Right.
something mean to a woman, you're public
That's not
enemy.
true. When it
number one.
comes to like weight loss posts, there have been like men in gyms who've been shape. People will laugh at them, and people will come out and say, "Hang on, this person's actually trying to lose weight. You shouldn't be picking on them.
Imagine
They're trying to do their
if
best."
Tim had the same post.
Yeah,
I was
imagine if-
crying one day.
If I put blah 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 on your river.
No, I meant above, where you
Oh.
made that like,
I mean, I talk about losing weight all the time.
In the middle of
Two and
summer.
a half years ago, I was 200 pounds. Now I'm way down. I've been lifting. Yeah, you got to take responsibility to do the best you can, I guess.
But she wants like all this validation. That's like the
Right.
difference.
In the
is the women
middle of
seek the
sobbing.
validation. And what is up with women wanting to cry online or say they were crying online? I'm like, if I cry, that's so embarrassing. I, don't want anyone to ever know or
Can't
see.
relate.
I just like. I don't think there's a problem with moms sharing. What you have to understand is Bernadine's audience is like overwhelmingly female because she runs a female courtship thing. I don't think it's a bad thing for women to encourage each other for weight loss and share their weight loss struggles. Like that's a good
I
thing.
didn't
should be
say it was a bad
encouraging.
thing.
Yeah, I think
We
Pearl
should
agrees.
encourage-
Pearl's
we
just
should encourage
trolling.
them.
I just thought it was funny.
Yeah.
But it's like women can't take
Also,
jokes.
never get a female dating coach
I-
or a female life coach ever,
I-
especially
I-
if you're a woman.
Yeah.
Worst idea.
I do agree with Pearl. It's like it's the meme of the guys hanging out, and then they're like, they're like, you're a cunt, f you, screw you, and the guy's like, you guys are bitches, and then the guy leaves, and they go, what
He's a good
dude.
guy.
And
Yeah.
then the women are all like, you're so cute, I love you, bye, I'm leaving, and they're like, what a bitch.
It's true.
It's true.
So,
Like-
okay, for example, everybody who hates me online calls me fat. Okay.
Do you have a lot of people hitting you online?
Oh yeah, she gets
the
it.
internet, come on.
Oh yeah.
I feel like the three of
Why
us
does
have a
anyone
laugh.
tone police the women that come after me? She's
But like, you know, I have prominent haters who are
Yeah.
calling me fat. I've lost 50 pounds in the last 2 years. I haven't posted
Congratulations.
any before and afters. I haven't talked about how I cried because of my struggle or anything. So where's all the women? Where's the sisterhood to come and validate me and tell me how great a job it? Well, I don't get that.
I think you should get that though. That's my point. Like I am a girl's girl. Okay, I get called like a misogynist
know.
all the time. I'm a girl's girl. I actually like.
no, I could
Men-
have told you that.
Yeah,
But I'll tell you
I mean,
why
you should get that
but I
validation.
don't. And I
You
don't.
should-
Yeah, no, you're a feminist. I agree. You're a girl's girl because every time they bring up something negative about women, you gotta say, but what about the men, though? It's So yeah, you are a girl's girl. You're a feminist, Lord Jen.
Get it from her
The
husband.
reason I won't get that sisterhood is because I'm willing to criticize women when I think it's appropriate. And the sisterhood sees that as a betrayal. So it's like, oh, you lost weight? F you.
Oh, look at the Ozempic stuff.
Yeah.
It's like a scandal because the body positivity movement
Now
that
it's too easy to lose
these
weight.
female celebrities who are like, we should be happy for what we look like. Give me the Ozempic. It was like secretly they were desperately trying to lose weight. But you know what? I think Ozempic is awful, but I'm glad it has at least created this movement of like admitting being overweight is a bad thing.
Yeah.
Well, here's what women do. I've seen this somewhere, but it's like women will say Lizzo is beautiful, but tell a woman that she looks like Lizzo. Oh, heck no. Yeah.
Right.
That happened at that protest where there was that large black woman. People called her Lizzo, and it was an affront. It was right. How dare you call her Lizzo? It's like, well, then stop pretending like you think Lizzo looks good.
And you say that to a man, and he's like, "Yeah, I need to lose weight." Like,
Well, I think it's just men, like you were saying earlier, men start in life at 0 and they have to build their value. They have to provide value to the world in order to have status, in order to be praised or anything like that. And women, it's like the opposite. We start, this fly likes me. We start as little girls being doted on, and the public school system is very good for girls. It validates them. It kind of reinforces all the things girls are already
Caters
good
to
at.
our strengths.
Yes, it caters to our strengths, and it tells boys they need to sit still, they need to be quiet, they need to stop being toxic. And then you hit puberty and everybody loves you because you're beautiful and you're fertile now. And then this thing happens where you get older and you feel less visible and less valuable and all that sort of thing. So I think there's just this like social ingrained thing where criticizing women, making women feel bad, making women
Making
sad,
fun of them.
it makes
Yeah, whenever you make a woman feel uncomfortable or sad, you get the white knights. The women come, the simps come. They all try to make her feel better. Whenever a woman is comfortable or uncomfortable and feeling bad, the simps have to come.
even men, it makes everyone like deeply uncomfortable to see women sad or uncomfortable.
And
that's
guys
why-
who grew up in the gutter, not every guy, but many guys being treated like crap. They're 26 and someone comments, "You're a disgusting fat slob," and they go,
Yeah.
like, it's like rolls off. I'm like, this is the
But
least,
they get
you know.
compliment and remember it for like 10 years. You know? The woman will get 20
Yeah.
compliments and only remember the bad things
Right.
someone
Yeah.
said.
And
So
the
it's
reason
just-
why women get so offended by your 35 versus 25-year-old tweet is because deep down they know it's true and they're pissed off, they're scared, and they're like, "Hey, I look better at 35." Okay, well, you have Botox, you have filler, you have all this other stuff, and they know
I
it's
don't even know
true.
what they look like. That's a crazy thing. I've met so many.
filters, yeah.
I've met so
But here's
many
the thing.
people where they do not look a thing like they do on.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. There's this like ingrained female need for attention and validation, right? And I think we see with social media, it's actually a very negative thing for women. It's what's
Yeah.
turned a lot of women onto OnlyFans. But like as a girl, I don't think it's an inherently bad part of female nature. I think we should preen, we should want to look pretty, we should want that attention, but we should want that from our husband, right? And so
Yeah.
like when I say like I support like Bernadine and her weight loss journey, I'm one of those wives where like absolutely I am still getting made up for my husband. I think we should still try to look hot for
Yeah,
our
I
Then
husband.
would you,
agree with
then
that.
would you,
Yeah.
would you in the same breath condemn her for posting a selfie for the world to prove her hotness?
I don't think she posted
No, but
anything.
I'm saying like it's just funny because you'll have such a double standard for me if I say blah blah blah, cry me a river, I'm the bad guy. But when women are seeking attention from other men other than their husbands,
I don't think
then
she's
there's-
seeking attention from
No,
other men
no,
though.
but
Like,
I'm
if you
talking
know-
about when she posted, and I don't really care. It's not my marriage, like whatever. But I'm just like, let's call it what it is. You're posting the 25 to 35. She's posting her selfies to prove she's attractive.
Well, that's the thing. If you follow Bernadine's platform, her whole thing is that women should take care of themselves
And why is she
for their
fat?
husband. Well, she just had another baby, but she is on the
She's-
weight loss journey, right?
Oh,
She's
no,
trying
she's
to
still
lose weight.
fat.
Wait,
She's
how long
still-
ago did she have a baby?
She's still like
I don't know, but she's already pregnant again. Number 6.
Wow.
Yeah, and they
Well-
free birth at home, which is like,
Yeah, I'm not
Is
saying.
she's a conservative woman?
yeah.
Well, I
Like
just
she's,
like if
Wait,
I was
what's her
gonna go to a woman about like taking care of yourself, wouldn't they be in shape? Because I know women that have had that.
she's
many kids,
trying.
they're
Yeah,
not.
and she's trying to
kinda-
be in shape.
Right, but it's like going to a personal trainer that's fat. You wouldn't really do it.
Well, she's not a personal trainer, but she's trying to encourage.
We,
Like even if you're fat, we should all still be trying to be better.
We did jam in an extra half an hour, but we'll wind things out a little bit. I do want to bring up at least one more point for you, Pearl. I feel like early on in the show we're talking about the social pressures between the left and the right. The right is having more babies, calling on them get married, have babies. The left is saying abort, sterilize, don't. Regardless of you've said a lot. It's just the way it is. It's not about what it should be. It's the way things are. I feel like your worldview would result in less babies.
Yes.
It's not a worldview though; it's a prediction. It's looking at the data and where would I predict things are going.
No, yeah.
Yeah, that's
You
how
say
I
things
view
like
it.
women do this, men do this, and I feel like
Yes.
a lot of things you say would result in many men being like, I better not get married and have kids.
It might, but they were going to do that anyway. They
So-
were going to do that anyway because of the court system today. We've had not one, not two, but they're going on 3 generations of men that have watched their parents, uncle, whoever get wrecked in a divorce. You're going to see the rate go down regardless of what I say.
I do think that traditional, like the trad wife, real ones, not internet fake ones. How many kids does she have?
6.
Six?
Yeah.
And
Six on the way.
a lot of the guests we have on like Timcast IRL, they're having a lot of kids, just having one more kids. And I feel like while it's not absolute that their kids will be conservatives, there is still a tendency toward more of those values over a long enough period of time. Maybe it's 100, maybe it's 200 years. I don't know. It seems like all of these things probably will just eliminate themselves through lack of reproduction.
Yeah, well, I think they said that 20 years ago, and look where we are.
Actually,
So,
it's
yeah.
true though. So 20 years ago, liberals were having 1.43 kids to conservatives 2.05.
But when we look at the
And now what we're seeing is 20 years on, the voting block of Gen Z has shifted slightly right for the first time in 100 years.
Well, my point is that if you look at the outcomes of the next generation, they are not conservative. There's not lower marriage. There is not raising birth rate, all
It's trending that way.
all of the choices, not really.
It is.
All
Gen
of
Z is the, I think, of the past
If
4
you-
generations, the second most likely to oppose gay marriage.
oppose gay marriage, but that doesn't mean they're getting married and having children.
No, I'm saying
earlier.
it's
if you
Gen
poll-
Z
if
is
you
the
poll-
first generation in 100 years to start the shift in the other direction.
Right, but I still would not predict that their outcomes will be conservative. I would not, and this is just from interviewing young women on the street, on my show, Gen Z, and even I have 2 sisters that are in Gen Z. And this is from upper class conservative MAGA country, basically. I wouldn't say when I look at them or their friends, they're particularly focused
I
on that kind of
completely
thing.
agree. They're very similar to millennials, but for the first time in 100 years, a generation moved.
I think what Tim's trying to point at is, it may not happen in her lifetime, and I think Pearl admits this. Like, it's not going to probably happen in my lifetime, but the pendulum is swinging the other way, which it always does. Sorry. So the pendulum is swinging the other way, and at some point in the future, maybe sooner than later, all this is going to shift, and it's going to be a lot better for men. But it's going to be a bit before that happens.
moved slightly right on social issues.
Right, but so what?
That's the first time in 5 generations. So conservatives 20 years ago had more kids. So for every 7 kids, 4 of them were conservative.
Okay.
And now in the polling data, we see a direct correlation.
Well, but the issue you're going to get still is conservative women aren't even conservative today, and I think I proved that really.
So over a long enough period of time, those that are less conservative
Yeah,
will
okay.
their worldview will.
I'll make a bet with you. Actually, we can make a
I
bet.
don't think we're gonna be alive in 200
Yeah.
years.
No. I'm not saying out. I'm saying in my lifetime, I think we will see more single mothers, OnlyFans models, abortions, and
I don't disagree.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
not my
so
point.
Yeah. So they're both pretty much agreeing that it's gonna get worse before it gets better. Eventually, it will get better, but it's gonna be worse at the moment.
But that's my point, is that if I had to predict in my lifetime, it is going to get worse.
Well, see, and this is where I differ from people like at the Daily Wire or even Charlie Kirk, who I love. My advice to like young men isn't get married. My advice to young men is join the church. Like, there are so many things that are likely to be wrong with your social circle, with how you conduct yourself. Or, like, marriage is not something that's going to fix things. If you're like in a weird throuple polycule and like, oh, well, let's just get married now. No, that's a terrible idea. Don't do that.
Right.
Like, find church, find religion, like get yourself right. And then from that, hopefully sacramental marriage will follow, children
Yeah,
will
you can
follow.
marry- you can marry
we have,
Nala.
a
You
bit,
can marry
we have a bit of
Nala.
a problem with the church, though, too.
Yeah.
So I've got a whole nother Substack article about this and how non-governmental organizations have infiltrated Western Christianity, feminized it. You now have something like 40% of Lutheran bishops are women.
Mm.
How many churches have gay flags hanging on the front of them? The Eastern Orthodox Church is kind of an exception, but
I think what was it Lauren who said that? Go to the church. I think it would be actually more. It'd be more correct to say go to the right church.
they're working on it. They're trying to get in there and do the same thing to them. So I would say not just to tell people to go to church, but go to a very a traditional apostolic church at the very least.
If you see a gay flag,
I would
just
say
turn
most,
around.
I would say
Turn
most,
around.
I would say
Gay
most
flags.
churches worship
If you see a woman pastor, just keep going. Oh shit.
women, not God.
Yeah, they do.
Let's we'll go through final thoughts. So we can start going left to right. Final thoughts, and then anything you want to mention or shut up as we wrap up.
I will say that my main concern regarding this topic is what's best for men. And what sucks is that men have like a biological drive to want to have offspring, to want to have a family. And it sucks that the way our society is, that with feminism infiltrating the entire world, the court system, it's just stacked against men. So I'm constantly trying to figure out and like research and find like what's the best solution for men. And I feel like all of us as women, we shouldn't be telling men what to do, obviously. But I think what we can do is maybe talk about the issues, maybe talk about what men can do to maybe avoid certain bad situations. And also, if we're going to talk about what to tell women to do, is encourage women to become better. And yeah, let's just hope for the best. But yeah, I agree. The future is grim. And
Sure.
also, we should be teaming up against conservative feminists because there's way too many of them and it's obnoxious.
Can we? Where can people find you and follow?
Well, actually, I have like all my accounts deactivated right now for a certain video that went way too viral. So I'm waiting for my husband to allow me to activate it. So far, nothing. But yeah.
Well, all right.
I would say we have to start by correcting the historical record because people think that
Get her book,
feminism,
guys. It's really good.
I did.
people think feminism is necessary and that it was a reaction to abuse from the patriarchy. The whole history you think you know is wrong. And if you start with understanding that, it will help you to see things the way that they are and maybe the way that they should be. And we can start getting rid of some of this ridiculous women's liberation, sexual liberation stuff. I think that ultimately, eventually, it will be a self-correcting problem and that generations in the future, I have no idea how long it'll take, but it's going to be a while. It's a cross-generational project that will look back on both democracy, universal suffrage democracy, and feminism as two of the worst experiments in human history. And we will dispense with both. That's my hope. And yeah, if you want to find my stuff, my book is on Amazon. Rachel
What's
Wilson
it
on YouTube. Occult Feminism, The Secret History of Women's Liberation, goes all the way back to
Yeah.
ancient times and then all the way up through modern times with the CIA propagating everything through the Congress for Cultural Freedom and lots of crazy stuff. That,
Yeah, guys, get her book.
don't
It's an easy read. You can read it in a day. And Rachel is literally a genius. So you guys should definitely get it.
Thank you.
Wow.
And then rwilson.substack.com has a bunch of my writing on it too.
I went to go shoo a fly on the table. I thought would move. It did not. He died. He died. And
Finally died.
I've killed a fly with my bare hands. Wow, great. Yeah, I guess my final thoughts would be that I think men should be and have every right to be discerning. There are women who are not OnlyFans whores out there. Don't let anyone try to say that this is the new normal. It's not normal.
3%.
3%.
Statistically, they don't have
Or
tattoos. They
OnlyFans.
don't have tattoos, debt, or other men's kids. Just so you know, guys.
Well, I mean, I think some men
Or
want to.
OnlyFans.
Shout out Aaron Clary. both
Yeah, shout out
numbers.
Eric Clary, 3%.
Yeah, I mean, but be discerning. Have your own standards. I don't think a tattoo is necessarily going to be the same level of I am not interested in you as OnlyFans.
It's like 3 or more they counted.
3 or more tattoos?
3 or more is the threshold.
Yeah, roughly. I can't remember if it was 3 or 5, but they actually let women get away with 1.
All right, Lauren.
Yeah, well, be discerning. Look at the stats. I mean, if you are a Christian man and you want a sacramental marriage and you pray every day with your family over your wife, the likelihood of you getting divorced is actually quite low. Does that mean you have to do it? No, but I want people to be look at this issue from all sides, from all.
Like, the problem with this is, she's like, oh, pray with your wife, blah blah fucking blah and shit like that. It's not gonna change anything. Well, religion is good and everything. It probably is a good filter. Look at Steven Crowder. He did the right thing. He was a virgin. They were both virgins on their wedding night. They both were, themselves, blah, blah, fucking blah, and all that shit. And look what happened. He still got divorced. So that whole go to the church and all that stuff, you need to change the laws first. It's the only way to really get at this issue and get things going for the better.
Angles. There are a lot of group differences out there I don't feel like are talked enough about because it's not politically correct to point that they exist. So don't ignore those. And ultimately, my advice to you, if you're just like an atheist and a throuple or whatever, no, don't get married. Don't just expect some government piece of paper to fix everything. Go to church, find Christ.
Where can we find you?
So I am at the Lauren Chen on Instagram, Telegram, X, Lauren Chen channel on YouTube. Also Mediaholic if you want to watch like pop culture movie reviews. And if you're looking for bath and body products, I gave my samples away to Benny Johnson for his wife. But you can check out Mama Chen's like soaps, body scrubs, and all that at clearlypure.etsy.com, clearlypure.etsy.com. And we have a Mother's Day sale, so you can use code MOM15 to save money.
I got some. They're great.
Yeah.
So what I would say is many conservatives will try to say that religion is some buffer to divorce, but unfortunately there are no religious women in divorce courts. What you often see is them trying to make a higher and higher threshold where most religious people don't count. You're not real if you don't pray every day, yada, 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 yada. I have seen divorce happen from pastors. I have seen it happen to men that are very religious and do not want to break up the home. But unfortunately, when a woman wants to divorce you, the state will aid her. And it is not, you can't pray a woman that wants to leave into not leaving you. Although that is not my hope. I hope you guys all have happy marriages and have kids. But I just think, I would never downplay the risk of marriage. And yeah, I talk about all this stuff. I have a documentary coming out this year. TheAudacity.network.com is where you can find my website. And sign up for the memberships if you want to help fund the divorce documentary, because I was demonetized 6 months ago. And yeah, that's it.
All right.
And Pearl on YouTube. Sorry, Pearly Things on Twitter.
The last shout I'll give to Actual Justice Warrior. He put in a super chat a while ago. He said, I linked this stream to a male feminist, and an hour later he texted me back saying, what in the world are these B words babbling about? And now he's gay married. Also, hi, Lauren and Isabella.
Hi, Sean.
Shout out to Sean. And this is fantastic. We went a little bit over.
All right. So there we go. That's the end of it. Finally done. Let's see. So there you go. You got my thoughts and everything. And so there we go. That's the end of it. Finally finished with it. It took me 3 parts. Didn't think it'd take me 3 parts. But in my defense, we ended up having had to do something quick on Thursday, I believe. And then Friday we had the whole Recator arrest, so I had to cover that. And then so I was able to finish it today. Tomorrow will be closing arguments and jury instructions for the Trump trial. I obviously will not be covering that day. I will be covering that on Wednesday. Tomorrow, I think what I'm going to do is a law tuber covered the Nick Rekieta's arrest and everything, and he's been praised for getting a good take on it, and he's basically calling it a case that Rekieta could, he's calling the search and all that stuff unconstitutional and something like that. So we'll get a look at that, and we'll do maybe a small update on Rekieta. I've been very hard on Rekieta for getting himself into this situation, putting his family through this. I fully blame him in this sense with the facts I know. Now, he's been commenting and saying, not to me personally, of course. He doesn't give a fuck who I am. And he should. He's far more successful than I am, so he shouldn't give 2 fucks about me. But I've seen some various tweets. He's saying, you don't know everything, fuck off, to various people and all that shit. And, that may very well be true. We do not know everything. The only people that know everything is Rekieta and his family. Dick Masterson, I will, hate him or like him. It's kind of funny because people were giving him shit last week on Thursday giving him shit because he was laughing at Rekieta. And, you know, which what he does. I was laughing at him too. I was pissed off at him, but I was laughing at him too. And everything. And then this entire weekend has been a very strong defender of Rekieta. And it kind of shows, you know, Dick, you know, I don't like Dick. Not that I think he's a bad person. I just find his fucking voice very annoying, honestly. Dick Masterson is the guy's name. I just find his voice very annoying, and that's why I don't like him. Call him petty, I don't care. But it kind of shows you, you know, Dick's kind of the friend you kind of want in your corner, regardless. He's been strongly defending Nick and everything, and even, you know, I may disagree with him, but I can give the man props for sticking by his friend, and going to hard to the paint for it. So props to Dick Masterson. But yeah, we'll do some coverage on the Nick Rekieta stuff, and all that. He has yet to stream since he was released. He was released on Friday, I believe, Friday or Saturday or some shit. But yeah. So he has yet to stream. He's put a couple posts out on his locals. But yes, tomorrow we'll do some Nick Rekieta update and all that jazz. So be on the lookout for that. Yeah. But again, you know, I blame Nick for getting himself in the situation 100%. I think he's failed as a leader and a father in this respect. I don't think that makes him any less of a good man. I think he just shows, you know, he's not perfect, but I'm still going to criticize him heavily for this. And I do hope the best for him, and I hope everything works out. But yeah, so we'll cover the Barnes analysis on the Rekieta arrest, and we'll do some updates on Rekieta shit. And who knows, maybe we'll, you know, maybe he'll do a stream tonight, and we'll look at that. I don't know. Hope you have a good day. Peace out, and I will see you tomorrow. Make sure you like and subscribe, and give me a follow. Hope you have a good day. Peace out. See you later.